Now, a lot of people are going to click on this video and just assume I'm trying to be a hater of Dragonite. But Dragonite, I actually respect this Pokemon quite a bit. Firstly, the legendary after all, and is the first dragon type ever made. But at the same time, I always felt like I gravitated towards other dragon type Pokemon as I was growing up. Flagon obviously being the biggest example. It's my channel mascot, and also Pokemon like Haxorus, Kingdra, and so on. But so yeah, when the news came out yesterday that, you know, for Pokemon Legends ZA, we got Mega Dragonite, and I was like, cool. I didn't see the design. I was outside. Someone told me, oh, Mega Dragonite was announced. I was like, cool. Let me actually go through the video, see what's up, and then I basically just get hit with this design that we got, and I'm like, damn, this shit is ass. I'll be honest. Like, I saw this and I was like, is this really the best they could have come up with? They were cooking for ZA. We all knew Mega Evolutions were coming back. Is this really the best that Game Freak could have done? And I don't think it is. Honestly, I don't even think Mega Dragonite really fits with the design philosophy or the design aesthetic that the Mega Evolutions prior that we got in Generation 6 even reached. And I'm just like, wow, is this what we're actually gonna get? And I'm not happy with this design, and to be honest, I don't even think I'm being that much of a hater personally. Like, I feel like the reception online has been mixed. I've seen people say it's not that bad, and I've seen people saying, yeah, this is also pretty arse. And I'm like, well, I do think saying arse is a bit much, but like, it is a mid design. I do think they could have done a lot more with this. And you know, I'm basically just going to speak about why I think they could have done a lot more with this. Won't be a long video, to be honest. There's not much to really say. Obviously, we know that it's dragon flying typing, so Dragonite keeps its you know, original typing, just like Salamence did, of course. And we don't know abilities and we don't know stats. I'm assuming it's going to be a 700 base stat total demon. It's going to be a very strong Pokemon competitively. But even as a competitive channel, I'm not focusing on the competitiveness of Mega Dragonite. I'm simply focusing on design, because that is one of the biggest things when it comes to Mega Evolutions. How it's an evolution of design, evolution in general, whether that's Mega Evolution or you know, common evolution that each Pokemon could go through, if they actually do have evolutions, is the fact that you can see there's a change. You can see that there's something, you're moving on to something better. You're moving on, like, you're getting stronger, you're getting more powerful. You're having a design that shows that a Pokemon's getting stronger. And even if we look at the Mega Evolutions that we got from X, Y, and Oras, you could see that this, like, trail of, like, a path, a journey that a Pokemon's going through reaches its apex with Mega Evolutions. For example, Mega Charizard X, a Pokemon I believe is the best Mega Evolution design-wise, in my opinion. You know, Charizard finally becomes a dragon. It finally looks more draconic. It has blue flames to highlight that it's stronger. It has a black design. You know, like, it has all of these draconic elements, and, you know, you could tell, yeah, this is an evolution of Charizard. This is the evolution of the design of the original Pokemon. Even something like Blastoise has a bigger cannon. Like, even the most simplest ones, Alakazam growing a freaking beard and, like, controlling more spoons, you know. I just feel like all of the Mega Evolutions that we've previously had from Generation 6 are able to highlight that. But I just don't really see that sort of evolution with Mega Dragonite, unfortunately. I just don't really see that sort of intention with design. And I know a lot of people, at least, like, from what I've heard from other people, is the fact that, you know, Mega Dragonite, you know, flies around the world. At least the lore, you know, implications of its design, you know, it has big wings, it saves people. And, you know, I don't really mind that about Dragonite. Dragonite's always been like a, you know, cool Pokemon, always helping people, and, you know, it's been highlighted in a lot of works over the past 30 years. But on the other hand of that, like, the design, it just doesn't do anything for me, unfortunately. Like, it's also weird in the aspect that obviously Dragonite has, like, it has big wings. Like, it has tiny wings if you look at the actual model for Dragonite, at least from Gen 6. Which, you know, the Gen 6 models weren't always, you know, they're controversial, to say the least. At least sprite work, it made it seem like Dragonite's wings weren't necessarily that small, but obviously Dragonite is a 7-foot tall dragon Pokemon, and his wings are quite smaller than his body. But, you know, that was never really an issue, at least for me and, like, most of the world that actually does rate Dragonite as a Pokemon. But when you get to the Mega Evolution and those wings seem to be even smaller and getting outclassed by head wings, which, I don't know, that's just kind of random to me personally. I do feel like this sort of thing just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, at least improve those wings. Like if you wanted them to have some sort of angelic wings or something, just swap the wings. I don't see why Dragonite needs 2 sets of wings realistically. But one thing I can say about the design personally that I do kind of rate is, you know, the homage to, you know, Dragonair, you know, having that bead tail, having the horn. At least, I mean, Dragonite always had a horn on the top of its head, but Dragonair's one was on like its forehead, where the forehead is. Obviously, you can see he's not at the top of the head. But yeah, that's really the only positives I can really get from this Mega Evolution. Frankly, I just think it's really under designed. It's a weird contradiction. It's a weird oxymoron sort of thing where it's not doing enough, but it also does a lot. It's doing too much. Like I just think the wings are unnecessary realistically, at least in the position of these wings. And obviously you could say, oh, Dragonair had wings on its head. That kind, like, it works for Dragonair, but for Dragonite, I don't know. Like obviously you're missing like its antennas, or do you call them antennas? I'm assuming that antennas, but yeah, you just replace that. I don't know, it just looks kind of naked without those antennas either. I do believe the wings could have just gone where its original wings are. Doesn't need 2 sets of wings. I don't even know how many Pokemon can actually pull off 2 sets of wings. Like the one that comes to my head the most is Crobat, obviously, and I'm like, yeah, Crobat makes that work. But you know, for Dragonite, I don't know, like it's just like unnecessary here. Like again, you don't even need these wings. Like if you wanted Dragonite to fly as fast as it wants with these new sets of wings, surely you could have just given it 2 wings and called it a day. But yeah, not much else to say. What I do want to end off on is, even with these auras, like again, I just feel like if the Mega Evolutions that we've gotten prior just like get to a higher state in the journey where a Pokemon is at the apex of its level. Like these fully evolved Pokemon reach a new stage where I believe that their design highlights that they've reached the apex of their strength. And obviously Dragonite's design was never originally meant to be this hard and tough dragon. It's honestly like a pure dragon, something like Gudra as well, which obviously if you guys look at the pseudo legendaries now, the only ones that don't have Mega Evolutions prior to Gen 6 are Gudra and Hydreigon. And I'm hoping for Mega Gudra we get something that has a little bit more effort, because frankly if Gudra doesn't get a Mega Evolution, that makes no sense. It realistically makes no sense. I can understand Hydreigon not getting one. Like at the end of the day, it would be cool to see an official Mega Hydreigon, but you know, I'll cope with Insurgence is one for now. But if we don't get a Mega Gudra, I'll be disappointed. But if we do, I hope it's not as under-designed as Mega Dragonite is, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I have to say on this one, to be honest. Like and subscribe, join the kingdom. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Hoping to get to that target by September. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.